And here I go. My mute was mic'd, or my mic was muted. Oh my goodness. I'm just talking away, and I'm just going to have the whole introduction be on mute. Wouldn't be the first time I've done that. Oh, well, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to have you here. And I'm just going to start off real quick before we get everything going. If anyone doesn't understand me, I'm sorry. I'm getting dental work done tomorrow, and I am in a lot of pain tonight. So Tiffany might be doing most of the talking. So
totally fine.
But tonight is going to be an exciting show. As you guys know, with Ghost Education 101, we love to explore science, technology, and the mystery behind the world of the paranormal. Every week, I'm your host, Dr. Heather Leigh, and joined always by my co-host, Dr. Tiffany Frazier. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you? I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, but you're here, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy you're here.
I am too. I was kind of nervous there for a little bit because my mouth was hurting, but I'm going tomorrow and getting that done, and hopefully next week I'm up and running and not so edgy. I guess.
Well, I'll be sending you, and I know everybody else is going to be sending you a lot of healing thoughts tomorrow. So
thank you, everybody. And then tonight, I am looking forward to, we're going to be deep diving into one of the most innovative developments in spirit communication technology. It's a device that's challenging everything we thought we knew about EVPs and real-time spirit responses. And this is where I'm looking forward to having our guest, Tony Rathman. He is the founder of Entity Voices Paranormal Investigations and the creative mind behind Staticom Project 3.0. He has spent years pushing the boundaries of electronic voice communication, developing cutting-edge systems that eliminate outside contamination and allow for real-time two-way interaction with the other side. And the best thing about today is we do have some examples that he has sent us, so we will be sharing those throughout the night. So actually, before we continue on, I'm just going to say, guys, grab your EMF detectors, settle in, and Ghost Education 101 will be right back with our special guest.
Time what? Well, I can hear you when you whisper, you know that, right? Spirits, if you're not familiar with this device is called Staticom. If you heard me say Staticom. That's better.
Now, can you say Staticom for me, please?
Alright, Spirits, if you don't want to say Staticom, let's play another game. What am I holding in my hand? Glasses, thank you. Thank you very much. How about pineapple? Can you say pineapple? Oh, perfect, thank you. How come you can't say Staticom like that?
It's one word.
It's one word, Staticom. Have you not been able to talk to humans before? If you can hear me, spirits, say elephant.
Do you know Tony?
It's me. If we use this device to help cold cases, will you answer the question? Yeah, sure. You bet. Thank you.
That will help.
That'll help a lot.
So I just have to say, you know, if nobody else knows who you are, the spirits definitely do, since they were saying your last name there.
Yeah. Oh, Tony's muted.
Oh,
there we go. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah, they do mention my name first, last, everything in between. it was kind of the first tip off that, a connection was being made to them, and they would recognize me and call me by name. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, I've only had my name mentioned once in an EVP session, but hearing it like that, that's definitely something different.
Yeah, we wanted 15 and a half years ago when I started this, I was a complete skeptic. I didn't believe any of this. My wife started watching TV shows when they started coming out, and she'd always say, "Come on, you're going to love this. Come sit with me and watch this." I'd last about 2 minutes. I'd get up, I'd look at her and go, "Come on, this is for television entertainment only," and I'd walk away. Well, then she tricked me, and back in 2010, it was Valentine's Day weekend. She said, "I want to do something different for Valentine's Day." I said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" She goes, "I want to go ghost hunting." And I was like, "Oh, you're kidding me." But I had two choices: take her or have her mad at me until the following Valentine's Day, and didn't want that. So I did some internet research, found a place that had a reputation, and took her. Well, when she got home and she started going through EVPs, there were answers to questions that we asked, because I played along and wanted her to have fun. And that just absolutely blew my mind. And we're coming up on 16 years, and I've been chasing voices ever since, because it's fascinating. Yeah. It differs from any other capture because you literally get handed a bucket of information right from the beginning. I can tell if it's male or female. I can tell if it's an adult or child. I can tell what language they're speaking. Is it English? Is it something else? I can hear if there's a territory accent or dialect with the way they're saying the words. And I can tell their emotional state. Are they happy? Are they angry? Are they upset? That is unmatchable to any other capture. And so we figured, if we're going to go down a road and chase this, let's go down the EVP ITC vocal road, because EVP has been around since the early 50s and captured on every device known. So, it was something that had been researched. It's something that had been documented, and there's tons of evidence out there for it. It just hadn't seen an advancement in probably the last 75 years or more. And that's what we wanted to do.
Amazing.
Tiffany, if you have any questions, he answered all three of my first questions right off
He
the bat.
did.
So,
I'm sorry.
No, that's awesome. I do have a question for you. So, you run into a lot of people, especially people who just don't believe. You say, you were once a skeptic, and, they'll say, and it's a very valid question, well, they don't have bodies. They don't have a voice box. They don't have vocal cords. How is it possible for there to be a voice recorded on some kind of device? It has to just be the radio. It has to be.
Well, there is no radio. We removed it. So we use only white noise. So it cannot be a radio, cannot be a radio signal. It has no ability to pick up any signal. Not radio, not satellite, not walkie-talkie, CB, ham radio, baby monitor, nothing. Wow. And then we also took it a step further. We took it to a double PhD at a specific university. I'm not going to mention name or anything, but he went through the electronics piece by piece, section by section, and he said, let's group it into two sections, A and B. He said, I have no problem with B, which was 90% of what was put together. He said, the only thing I have a problem with is the white noise generator, because it's in a plastic casing. It is susceptible to EMI, or electromagnetic interference, and possibly certain types of waves. Mm-hmm. So he said, encase it in steel, EMI resistant casing, ground it in military grade Faraday material. He said, then ground the circuit 2 feet into the ground with a huge metal pole. He said, if you still get voices after that, I'll be impressed. Guess what? Didn't stop a single voice.
Wow.
As far as the remainder of your question, so it's not radio, it's not outside signal. Where do these vocals come from? Well, you're right. If they're non-human bodied anymore, they don't have vocal cords. But you don't need vocal cords to produce speech. You need energy, frequency, and vibration. And people say, okay, yeah, but that's, energy, frequency, and vibration. If this is actual speaking, I'll say, yep. Does your radio have vocal cords? No. Now, what are you hearing? Speech. Where is that coming from? Energy, frequency, and vibration. But great.
That's
question.
Great. I love that. And I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to use that to prove a point the next time I'm asked that question.
Absolutely.
That's a great way to put it. Energy, frequency, vibration, even
Correct.
with the radio.
I mean, even Jimi Hendrix used to play his guitar and make it sound like speech.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone's ever heard that, but it's pretty incredible.
I haven't, but I'm going to look it up after the show.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But again, it's the energy of his fingers plucking the strings vibrating at a specific frequency and producing sound.
Wow.
And that's what we went after.
And then
that's the basis. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, that's okay. The one thing that I really love about the system is that it's live and interactive. You don't need to record and wait till later, because that's one of the biggest problems with paranormal research is 9 times out of 10, you don't know until you get home and it's too late, unless you have plans to go back to the location and talk to them again. But what kind of adjustments or ability to make adjustments do you guys have to do to, like, while you're doing it live? Like, are there any tech adjustments you need to make sure that you're communicating right, or?
Not usually. In beginning systems, I mean, we literally went from a former method called direct radio voice that went to Staticom. Staticom got advanced to Staticom 2.0, and now we've advanced it to Staticom 3.0. The only adjustments that need to be made are some fine tuning, and that can vary by location. It just depends on, sometimes it needs tuning, sometimes it doesn't. But the system is pretty well set to a point where, with some minor adjustments, you flip it on, the voices are there. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And you don't even have to speak. You can listen to them talk to each other. But then when you ask a question, boom, that answer comes flying in with timing and relevance and answers the question you asked with intelligence.
Right. And do you guys ever just leave it on and not communicate through it, waiting to see if they try to reach out to you, be like, hey, I want to talk?
All the time. And some of the strangest conversations that we've heard them talk about. But, it'll be on and my wife will be cooking, and, I wouldn't have said something for the first half hour. And I'm like, Spirits, what's my wife making? Spaghetti, or, whatever she's making. And it's correct. It's 100% correct.
Yeah. It reminds me of a scene from like Ghost where they're sniffing it all out. And
yeah, I was going to say, like, this might freak some people out because they are there. They're everywhere.
Well, and that brings up a really good point, and that's a great question. And one of the things we haven't yet to determine, even though we've asked question after question, what am I holding? What's in my hand? We've written words on piece of paper, not even that we've known. We've had audience members come into the beginning of the session. We'd hand them a piece of paper and a pen, say, write a word on this, put it in your pocket, don't show anybody. And then we'd ask Staticom what word is written, and it will answer what word is written, and correctly. And we've even done that test across the country via video conferencing. Wow. And they can get it. But the question really is because they're spirit, can they actually physically see? Or is it truly a matter of the information being transmitted through universal consciousness? Because we follow analytic idealism, the fact that consciousness is the ontological primitive, and it can't be reduced any further by science or by anything else. And therefore, it is the basis of all life. And if we believe we're fractal portions of universal consciousness, which really doesn't conflict with religion. Religion says we're all from the same, all part of the same God. Well, if you change the name from God to universal consciousness, yes, we'd be portions of it. And we believe that that information is being transmitted when I say, what am I holding? And it's glasses, which you heard in that last clip. They get it from probably me because I asked the question. And the second I ask the question, I'm thinking the answer, which through consciousness then transmits to them as one mind, and they answer.
That is so amazing. Recently, I was on an investigation with a fellow teammate, and we were we were underground in this. It was like a 7-story building, and the foundations, everything was very old in Atlanta. It was all brick, just stone and brick and everything. And there was nobody down there with us, and we were setting up to get our investigation started, and both of us heard a disembodied voice of a woman speaking. We couldn't make out what it was, but it was clear as day. Somebody behind us was speaking to us. We both heard it. I was in front of him. I turned around and I go, "You heard that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I heard that." We checked, no one's there. And so, how I explain it to people is that, again, going back to spirits not having vocal cords or anything, they have to communicate via psychic energy. And the way I proved the point is that we were both wearing body cams, and both our body cams did not pick up this voice, but we both heard it at the exact same time. And so, it's really interesting for you to say that, because it kind of helps strengthen that point of perhaps they are communicating through some cosmic energy of and using psychic energy in order to get a point across, or in order to get information. Because when we have a thought, every thought we have is energy, and
Correct.
that translate somewhere, right? So maybe they're able to pick up on that, and that's how they're able to get that information. Even though you're in a state and the other people are in a different state, that energy is still there and it can still be transferred.
That's a great point. And I was curious. I wanted to know if they weren't human, and I'm using my vocal cords when I speak, how they hear me. If they don't have ears with follicles that vibrate, which send that vibration to a liquid center of the ear, which then vibrates to a point that it sends that signal to the brain interprets it as speech. If they don't have human ears, how do they hear me speak? And in fact, I sent you that clip. It's called Energy. This would probably be a good time to play that.
Yeah.
I can play it real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Sure.
How do you hear me speak?
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's full sentences, timing and relevance to the question I asked, answered right there, and intelligent. Energy of the mind. That's the thing. And my wife and I did EVP research. Well, we still do it. But for over 15 years. And a lot of times the answer to the question would show up on the recorder before we even finished asking it, or before we even started asking it. That explains it. They don't need my vocals. The only thing that needs my vocals is the recorder to know what I asked. But for them to get what I'm asking and respond is not needed. So then we tested that. We took a bunch of people in a live presentation and said, don't ask your question. Don't even tell me what you're asking. Raise your hand that you have a question and just think it. And sure enough, their answer comes through.
Yeah. And that also ties with, I mean, I know we had an investigation years ago where we didn't get any other evidence in the house, but we had the words "get out" on our EVP. Actually, it was a video or camera that caught it. And it was the voice of the woman who lived in the house. And it was recording her at the time, and her mouth wasn't moving.
Wow.
So it was one of those where, is it, was she nervous and she was wanting us to get out? Was it the spirit saying in her voice, trying to play tricks? But it was just, I've always wondered if there was a way that we could put our consciousness on an actual recorded device, similar to kind of how the spirits are doing it.
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, but people always say, how do you know you're not talking to yourself? Well, my wife had terrible stomach pains. I mean, she was in severe pain one night and I had it on. So I asked Staticom, are you getting sick? Or is my wife getting sick? And they said, probably. And I said, what should she take? And this word came through and I didn't even react to it because I didn't know what it was. But when I went then to the internet and looked it up, the word was Percodan. When I looked it up, Percodan is a prescription strength pain reliever, a combination of oxycodone and aspirin, and it's for severe pain. I didn't know that, so it wasn't my thoughts coming through.
Mhm.
Plus, every voice is unique with its own personality, its own
That's
vocal
so true.
tone, and all of the above. So it's quite interesting, to say the least.
Anton is on. Hi, Anton. Thank you for joining us. And Philip is here. Hi, Philip. Thank you for joining us. Philip says we did that in the ITC collab a few years ago. Oh, there it is.
Mhm.
Heather moved it for me.
Oh, sorry. I put it on the screen.
Okay. Like, where did it go? We did that in the ITC collaboration a few years ago and called it the code word experiment. Awesome. And then Tony says, how do you filter out usable audio when the definition of static is noise? It's a good question. There is nothing to demodulate. Only other method is heavy filtering. I assume you are not using any IF mixing.
Okay,
He
well,
knows a
real,
lot more than I do.
real, real,
I don't know.
real simply, white noise has been used to enhance EVP and ITC work for years. White noise is known to be a catalyst in elevating voice. So that process is called stochastic resonance, and it is used in everything from elevating sound that the human ear or even a sensor cannot pick up because it's outside of our human ear range or even the range of a sensor. White noise through stochastic resonance is used to take a sound that's not audible and it takes the voice that we can't hear, and that voice overlaps a handful of frequencies within the white noise itself. Whatever frequencies overlap raises the volume, the sound, and the intensity of the voice that's there. Which is why when we switch to a white noise generator has a spectral frequency of 1, meaning every single frequency from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is at the exact same level. That's what spectral frequency of 1 means. So if the white noise is all sitting here, the voice overlaps and it shoots the voice up. The voice gets raised, the white noise does not. It retains its spectral frequency of 1. Then we cut the white noise out, leaving only the voice.
Awesome. Very, very interesting. Heather, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up. Okay.
Okay.
So, could you walk us through a memorable investigation where Staticom produced something that you could not reasonably explain with conventional methods?
There's probably not a single one I haven't been on that Staticom produces stuff that I can't explain. I mean, the best way to say this is that these voices, we believe they're spirits because we ask them, and that's who they say. They will say one of two things: we are spirit or we are consciousness. We've asked about extraterrestrials, we've asked about, and there are various answers. And extraterrestrials clearly seem to be a possibility, but then you get into, well, unless the extraterrestrial race has the ability to know English, speak English, and communicate, knowing everything around us and how our world works. And if they can do that, we wouldn't know the difference anyway, because it's vocal only. But I mean, you want to talk about experiences. When I had a 7-minute conversation with my grandfather who passed away when I was like 12, would I consider that memorable? Yeah, I would. When a friend of ours got shot and actually passed away, and Staticom gave us the answers of what happened and even down to who did it, which you have that clip.
Yeah.
Would I not consider that to be just mind-blowing? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So there's probably not a time we don't have it on that something doesn't come through to either reinforce the years of research we've already done or to open up a door to other questions to go, okay, wait a minute. If that's the case, then what? And then another 100 questions follow the one answer you got, and you go down that rabbit hole road again.
Yep. And
Robin,
did you want me to? I was going to say, did you want me to play that one clip that you were just talking about? Which one was it named?
Yeah, it's called Lennon.
Lennon. Yep, I can pull
Now
that one
you
up real
won't.
quick, and then we'll get.
Yeah, you won't see our faces on this. We literally, this had just happened, but you'll hear the answers.
Okay, and then after that, we'll pull up Robin's question that she just asked. So hold on one moment.
Yes, he was shot. Lenny, did you know that you were shot? Do you have a message for your family? To your mom? I saw you how they shot you. Or shoot you. Lenin, kilala mo ba kung sinong bumaril sa'yo? Yes, para mabigyan ka ng hustisya. Kilala mo ba kung sinong bumaril sa'yo? Just give me the name, Lenin, so I can help you. Did you know how you were killed? Lenin was shot and killed last Monday.
Lennon, do you know who did it or not? Yes. Can you give a name, please? Let's start with first name. What's his first name? Christian. Had a name? Was Christian a name? Was Christian a first or last name? Okay, first name. Do you have a last name?
Wow.
Wow.
Now, the first question that's always asked is, has this been proven? Can you prove it? Well, you know what percentage of murders get solved in the Philippines? Because that's where this occurred. About 0.001. So we weren't going to release this information, but then we thought, you know what? We did release it because we thought if the information does come out and we haven't released this prior, no one would ever believe we had it. So we did.
Wow.
Yep.
Amazing. Robin, thank you for joining us. Robin says, good evening. Can you give us an example of the conversations you are hearing from the other side? This is something that I'm looking into. For example, I just listen instead of asking questions during some of my EVP sessions. Just curious what you are hearing. Thanks.
Oh, I mean, I think the one we just played is a good example.
Yeah.
We had it on and running. When my wife came in, she had a very distraught look on her face. And I said, what's wrong? Are you okay? She said, no. And then she explained what occurred. And then we heard his name be mentioned. Now, you heard how many different spirits answered our questions.
Mhm.
And there were two voices in there that sounded exactly like him. But you heard them say, which was funny, this was 3 days after what had occurred. They said, he's not up yet, which we found fascinating. Is there a transition? Is there a certain amount of time it takes to go from the embodied to the disembodied? What's that transition like? But the fact that they all knew what happened to them, they knew what occurred, and then when they were answering our questions, but said, he's not up yet. Thought that was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Jerry's here. Hi, Jerry. Thank you for joining us. So
Jet going over. I'm trying to mute my mic.
that's okay. You're okay. Um, so when you're recording these sessions, how are you validating what is being heard? Do you have any checks that you go through? How do you weed out any audible pareidolia too?
Okay. Well, first of all, there is no audio pareidolia in white noise. I mean, it's every sound blending together at even frequency. Could you have warbles and artifacts of sound that could be caused by electromagnetic interference? Yeah, you could. But I think if you hear even just the clips we've played, did you believe any of that to be audible pareidolia? Probably not, because we had these voices analyzed by electrical engineers, and they came back and said this is absolutely an impossibility from randomness in white noise, that the speech follows consonant, vowel, diphthong use, emotional expression, pauses identical to human speech.
Mhm.
And the last way, there's two more ways. The last way to identify it is voice pattern recognition. So if I think I heard a sentence and then I repeat the sentence and voice print both sentences, regardless of vocal tone, there should be a match in the emphasis of where the syllables are placed within the consonant vowels of the sentence. So you should be able to see a similarity between the two. And then the last one we're working on is, which is much more difficult. AI is making great progress, but we want to see if we can get AI to match what it believes is being said against what we're hearing.
And then that brings me to another AI question that I have here, and that's oh, where did it go? I have so many questions. Heather knows me. I always have all these questions.
Yep.
As
I have a
AI
list too,
becomes
but he must have read them beforehand because he's answering them all as
I
he
know
goes. So I'm
he's
knocking them off as
answering
he's
what I
talking.
have too. As AI is progressing, how do you see technology reshaping the future of spirit communication and research? This is a big one right now in the paranormal field because, especially when it comes to, and actually, me and Heather were talking
Lost you,
recently
Tiffany.
that.
Yeah, we lost your voice.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Yep.
Okay. Let me move the mic a little bit closer. There we go. That was weird. Maybe the spirits are messing with my mic tonight. Last week, Heather and I were actually talking about how AI is actually able to change the information on a photograph so that you can't tell if it's been doctored or not, or you can't tell if it's been edited. So do you see, well, I guess my question is twofold. One, do you think that AI is going to potentially harm the ITC field? And or what kind of progressions do you think is going to come out of AI in the ITC field?
Great question. Let me give you my first response. AI is a man-made system, meaning everyone thinks, oh, AI is so much smarter. It's faster. It's learned intelligence. Where did it learn the intelligence? From us, from consciousness. AI will never have consciousness. It can't. It can produce things that look like sentiment, but it's not. It's programming. So therefore, there's a huge difference between consciousness and artificial intelligence. Now, can it do things 100,000 times faster than we can? Probably more accurate? Sure, it can. How that exactly has the ability to interact with the true meaning of life or consciousness, it's already being experimented with. Science is trying to use AI to tap into the quantum physics and quantum consciousness that they believe exists to get the two to merge and interact. What the futures will hold is quite fascinating and possibly even a little scary. Is the world ready for this? What happens to religious beliefs? What happens to cultural upbringing? What happens to just basic foundations of what we were taught and believe? I don't know. I don't have those answers. AI will play a role. I mean, people like Sonia Rinaldi are claiming to have gotten books written by spiritual interaction with AI, and she stepped away from images to chase that. I haven't heard lately what updates are, and I'm sure if they're getting books of material on whether it be from consciousness or from extraterrestrials, I'm not sure. But again, those avenues are already being looked at and dove into.
Yeah. I do have to say AI would be easier then, because I know someone who actually wrote a children's book channeling through a spirit board. And I can only imagine the letter by letter. It would be so much easier using AI to type it out for you.
Well, I don't disagree. But I think, there's a reason why it's taking, outside of psychic and mediums, whether they really have the ability, we believe it works the same way that Staticom does. A signal's being sent into Staticom. And then, whether that's an actual vocal signal or whether that's some sort of other energy signal, doesn't matter. The result's going to be the same. Mm-hmm. But if that's being done to Staticom because we've optimized the environment for that to occur, it'd be the same way psychics and mediums get their impressions, their ideas, and their information. The only difference is you have a third-party person that has to take what they're getting, interpret it, and then translate it back to you, saying, here's what I'm getting, here's what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. But it's the same principle of how it works.
Right. I thought this question, I came up with it, and I thought it was really interesting because it's something that I'm really interested in and hope to start a book on it someday. Heather knows we both got so much going on. Hopefully one day I'll get to it. But
that's our favorite word, one day.
One day. It's on the list.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. You've worked you've visited so many places and you've investigated so many places. How has working across different cultures, especially, shaped your understanding of the afterlife and how people kind of react to the spirit world? Because every culture is a little bit different. So, how has doing ITC across different cultures kind of helped you understand or shaped your understanding of that?
That's a great question. Let's start with culture,
Mhm,
and then let's tie that to religion and the religion they were taught.
mhm,
Every culture has the ending similarity that life goes on, whether you've earned it to go up, whether you didn't earn it, you go down, whether you reach nirvana, whether you have to do it again to reach it. So regardless of religion, the name or the practitioner of a specific religion, let's keep it just as religion as a whole.
mhm,
Religion teaches, we believe, what's the right concepts, but meaning got lost in translation, in control factors to control population. And we see so many tie-ins to it. It doesn't matter what religion, with what the research is showing us, to the fact that we are consciousness. When the body or container dies, that consciousness goes on. And if you start looking at cultural differences or religious differences tied to those cultures, there are ones that won't touch this because, everything from religious saying you're talking to demons, you're not supposed to do that. Okay. Science thinking you've absolutely lost your mind because they think when the brain dies, the body dies, consciousness is gone and cannot survive because it's created in the brain. Then you've got people who are interested in it, but say that's way too good. He's faking it. And then you got people who like it, but turn around and say, well, if you're not going to tell me how to do it, I don't believe you. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle from the two biggest entities from a religious and scientific standpoint, because we're breaking boundaries that they don't want to hear. It's hard from a individual perspective because everyone's got their own opinion of what religion taught them, what were told they could do or not do. And every culture has different religious backgrounds. But if you boil all those down to the very basics, take out the names, it's always an ascension, growth, and learning of your individual fractal consciousness to expand universal consciousness. And that tie-in is where we believe, because it's a short, distinct, straight line path, that makes the most sense of it being a reality.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Did have a question pop up, but I think it is for Tiffany, real quick.
Oh. Have you read about the possibilities of the brain's pineal gland and its crystals? No, I have not. Not yet.
We'll
I'm
put
gonna
that
look
on the
that
list
up.
of research.
That is going on the list of research. Thank you, Anton.
And one question I do have, Tony, for you is, hold on a second, my screen flashed on me real quick. What ethical considerations come into play when attempting two-way communication with non-physical entities? For example, how do you protect participants, ensure consent, and handle messages that may be disturbing?
There's only been one time that we've gotten disturbing messages, and that was in Gettysburg. And we were doing a specific question and answer for a friend of ours who owns a very well-known haunted location, and she was having some trouble. Mm-hmm. We ended up shutting it off just because this thing was vicious, vulgar, and literally changed the atmosphere of the room down to people squirming and wanting out. So we shut it down, took a break. We all went outside. But that was the only time that's ever happened. Now, after having done this for coming up on 16 years, 15 and a half, we used to do all of the, opening protection prayers, the closing protection prayers, the saging, the specific holy objects for protection. But having done this for so long now that we don't do that anymore. Why do we not do it? Not because we're reckless, but because we're only dealing with vocals, meaning that the entities do not physically have to be in front of me to speak. And we believe spirits are of non-locality, meaning they can speak from anywhere. So, and people always ask, well, when you get done with a session, are there residual energies? Do you see things move at times? No. Why? Because they're not physically here. It would be like if I went over to the neighbor's house, sat down for an hour, had a cup of coffee. When I got up and left, you could detect my body heat on the chair. I may have left some hairs or skin cells. There would be evidence that I was there. But if we had that cup of coffee over the internet through a video conferencing, there would be absolutely no indication of me being there because I wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's see here. Let's find one he hasn't answered yet.
Well, let me bring up something we always get asked.
Yes, please.
We always get asked, as you went through the various methods and improved one on top of the other after the other, people always say, did the spirits, or did they help you at all? Did they give you information or advice? So if you play the one, and let me finish the explanation first, called setting.
Yep.
Actually, I'll let you play it and then we'll talk about it. But
Okay, I'll play it right now.
Up or down, spirit? Seven. Okay. I can go to 7.
Okay, so although that probably didn't make a lot of sense, I was tuning. This was when we first got 3.0 operational, and I was doing fine tuning, and I was turning some particular knobs. Now, what I asked them was spirits up or down on the knob. They literally identified the knob as having numbers on it and told me exactly where to put it. And in over a year, that knob has never moved because it was absolutely spot on. So, and that's one of probably 20 clips we have where they're giving us information to improve it. So that question always comes up. Did they help? Absolutely, they did.
Yep.
So did you know about radio communication? Did you have any experience with electronics prior to developing the Staticom? You did?
Yeah, I started out in high school working for an electronics shop.
Okay.
Fixing TVs, phones, radios, and they were all vocal, meaning there was always vocal anomalies within the system, whether that be anything from transistors to whatever. But so that's where my electronic background came from, was repairing everybody's broken equipment that they brought in, identifying where the problems were, identifying if circuits were bad or resistors were bad, whatever the case may be. And that's where that came from. And then the other background, I have a BA in philosophy. So that's where the thinking said, okay, how is this happening? How is this occurring? And of course, it didn't help that my father was a 46-year physics professor. So that some of the toughest questions I've ever had to answer came directly from my father. But, you know, after doing this for 15 and a half years, he's finally, I'm breaking that hard shell around him to ask some questions. In fact, just last week, I think it was, he asked me something. I was just blown away by the fact that he asked, and I'm glad he did, because coming from a materialistic, hardcore physics person, those questions usually don't get asked. So it was great to see that.
That's great.
Okay. And then one quick question to kind of break things down to a more 101 type curriculum. If you were to help someone start with spirit communication on a 101 level, using Staticom as a basis, not so much teaching other people how to use Staticom or create it, but kind of using that as a basis, what type of curriculum would you like put forth for people to learn how to do it?
To learn Staticom?
Or any type of EVP type of communication.
Yeah, if we're talking straight EVP, the simplest is a digital recorder. And you can pick those up anywhere from $20 to, you can go up as high as you want. But even the cheapest ones still do the job. White noise plays a huge role in spirit communication. I would do tests using white noise in the background as a basic foundation to enhance the speech, whether you're doing that through a digital recorder, an EVP, or even ITC. The difference between a spirit box and Staticom is that a spirit box does two things. One, you can hear the white noise, which can be terribly annoying, give you the biggest headache listening to it the first time, but then having to review it a second time is just downright painful. But a spirit box also scans radio stations. So the theory behind a spirit box was that spirits would take the fragments of audio and rearrange them into their own sentences. So now you've got white noise blaring out at you. You've got fragments of radio, and you're trying to figure out what has been rearranged that's coming from spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult. So ITC can be a challenge, and that's why we replaced radio with white noise to get it. But in early tests done by our former partners, they literally went out and bought a world band radio and left it on in between stations on just plain white noise and asked question after question, night after night, week after week, until voices literally started answering.
Mm-hmm.
Those were tests done to show that white noise is the foundation of which we believe gives them the perfect opportunity to speak. When Tiffany, when you were talking about that, you heard the voice with your own ears.
Right.
How do we believe that occurs? Well, white noise is a natural phenomena in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And they can easily take that same signal, whether it's vocal or energy, and transfer it to that white noise. We just optimize the system to make it available at peak levels for them to use it for Staticom to get the clearest voice we can. And if you think about white noise being every single sound the human ear can hear, if they are sending in a non-vocal signal, because stochastic resonance does require two vocal signals to interact with each other. But what would happen if it's a non-vocal but energy signal? Well, let's think about that. You've got every tone from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Now you hit that with an energy signal varying across every frequency. That's like handing sheet music to an orchestra. It's gonna produce sound, vocals, and audio sounds.
Wow.
And then for white noise, just to clarify, it does not always have to be a radio, like static radio. It could be a lawnmower, flowing water, a fan. Is that correct?
We did tests years ago to see if other water, air conditioner, fans. I even taped mics to my car and drove around town. Did voices show up? Yes. The problem is they're not equal sounds. If I'm driving along a road and another car passes me, that changes the energy level of the white noise, which made it near impossible to pull the voices with any regularity. Mm-hmm. A white noise generator, a radio hasn't been used for years. A white noise generator, every sound is even, spectral frequency of 1, mm-hmm. meaning we don't fight that fluctuation in the white noise. Okay. Nor do we pick up any radio waves or satellite, mm-hmm. or anything else. Does not have the ability or the circuitry to do that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And that was good. That actually answers the next question that I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you have ever found if any particular environmental fluctuations influence how often or how many voices you're able to pick up.
Well, we use the entire broadband spectrum. Mm-hmm. So it allows for any of them speaking. And there are times we turn it on, there's so many speaking all at once that it can be difficult to hear because they're all going, okay, here's my shot. I got to talk now. And they do try to. We've had to literally say one at a time. If you all speak at once, we can't hear any of you. And that happened to us just last Sunday night. We were running it live at the Orpheum Theater here in Phoenix. In fact, there's a clip from that live session. This was a very small section. We did a special presentation for this group, but it is called I think it was in the Staticom promo.
Yep.
Is a clip, and these are clips. So it was cut from a larger portion, but there are multiple questions that I asked and the answers given, and you'll hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you want me to replay the promo now that people know what to look for, or did you want me to play
the one you played wasn't promo. The one you played was 4th round at the beginning. This one's called Staticom. It's actually a promo for our Patreon page, but
I can play that one now. You ready?
Ready.
Loud and clear, please. One at a time. What do I have in my hand? Can we do one more test? Yes, we can do one more test. I'm going to hold up some fingers. You tell me how many fingers I'm holding up. All right, I got them up. How many fingers do I have up? How many fingers? Spirits, what's my last name? Can you tell me, please? Right there, the min was cut off. One more time. Yeah, one more time, loud and clear. What's my last name?
So again, just random questions, answer, timing, relevance, and correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. So usually in science, you have to use repeatability in order to prove a point, right? You have a theory, you have a control, you try to prove it by repeating the process. And in our field, there's no way for us to repeat it. We can't say, hey, you need to show up now, please. I mean, I guess sometimes you can, and they do. But do you see a change in do you see a change in the future in terms of how the science field across the board with science? Do you see or do you think a change in thinking is going to occur where science finally says, yes, there's something happening here, and we're willing to take a closer look at evidence, data that's been caught?
Excellent question. So let's back up all the way to Nikola Tesla, who said that if materialistic science would take 1 decade and look at non-material phenomena, that they would learn more in a decade than they have in the entire life cycle of sciences. He said that back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Now, is that still a struggle today? To some degree. But you went from materialistic physics, which then transitioned to quantum physics, which is now transitioning to quantum consciousness, or like the Ork-Or theory. Consciousness is embedding itself in all aspects of science. So, yes, it's already happening, not as fast as we'd like to see it happen, but it's already occurring. Consciousness is becoming an integral part. I mean, when quantum physics said that things like molecules and atoms don't truly exist until they are observed, and only then do they appear. It is the observation of consciousness that makes that occur, which also says a ton about the fact that thoughts are more powerful than we have ever placed any accountability on, because thoughts become reality. Thoughts influence your reality. What you're thinking is going to be the outcome of what your life is like. It is literally that simple. Now, not that simple to change or do, but it is literally, from a concept perspective, that simple. So yes, absolutely. The effect is already occurring, and it will continue to occur.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that a lot. I mean, all you have to do is go into social media and everybody's talking about affirmations. Everybody's actually they're thinking and saying exactly what you just said. Thoughts are powerful,
Yep.
and what you believe is what is going to be. That is what is going to turn out for you. So hopefully, I mean, I hope that does. And in fact, I think it was our first episode together, Heather. I think I mentioned Mayim Bialik, who is a neuroscientist, and she has recently been speaking on the topic of consciousness and the afterlife, and is it possible? And it is so refreshing to see a diehard scientist finally come forth and say, there is something happening here. Let's stop discounting people's experiences and take a step back and really look at what could be happening, what could be possible here, because
Right.
we don't know everything.
No, of course,
You know.
of course not. And even when we explain how we believe this is occurring, we could be wrong too, and we're willing
Yeah,
to accept if we are, because that's how
Mhm.
you truly find what is happening. But so yeah, you got
That's
to
true
look at it.
science.
Correct. That's
Yeah.
the definition of science, right?
Yep. And then this one kind of dips into a little bit of what we might have been talking about before the show. But Staticom 3.0 is described as arguably the closest thing to Thomas Edison's theoretical phone to the dead. What's next for Staticom? Are you working towards 4.0 commercialization, or what else is next?
We're not yet looking at commercializing it. Why? Because we're not done. When we originally started this, it was never to make money. It was never to sell anything. It was made for the research, and the research only. It was the success and the responses that we're getting, which, are still pretty much considered anomalous today. But, you've heard some of the samples played. It's mind-blowing. The next step we finished Staticom 3.0. I just partnered with a ITC researcher and electrical engineer in Brazil named Samuel Andrate. His father was also an ITC researcher, still is. His father wrote multiple books, also helped train Samuel as well as his electrical engineering skills. But we have agreed to share knowledge and build 3.0 to the next version and any version after that. And that includes changing more things on the system, getting it more compact, again, increasing clarity. I mean, we made huge strides on the clarity, but there are still some people who have never heard an EVP before in their life, and they go, I have trouble hearing. Okay, understood. Some of it is ear training, but we want to rectify that. We want this to be so clear that not a single person who ever hears a response wonders what was said. Now, is that difficult? Absolutely, because even in human speech, things get misheard when we're talking to each other. So, but as close as we can get to avoiding all scientific scrutiny that either A, it's a stray radio wave, which we've already killed that, but that it's some sort of warbles and artifacts to sound. So that's the other. But every advancement that can be made to absolutely alleviate any of those concerns are what's in 4.0.
Exciting.
I'm just trying to see what other clips I sent. There's one called Responses, Staticom 3.0 Responses. That was actually the same night, I believe, as the intro one you played, but great responses again. And what this really shows was in prior versions, from DVR to Staticom 2.0, we could ask a question or two, maybe two, and get a response. But after that, the voices would disintegrate. They'd become cluttered and unhearable or unrecognizable as to what was being said. Staticom 3.0 solved that problem. And the voices stay clear in their communication until either A, whoever we're speaking to decides they don't want to speak anymore, or the machine is turned off. And this was the first capture that we had that showed that that communication just kept going back and forth.
Okay.
Rathman, I heard you say Rathman. Yes. What did you want to say to Roger? It's Tony. Spirits, can you hear me? Yes, okay. That was a loud voice that just answered. What's your name? That's a strange name. How many spirits are here with us right now? A lot? A lot, yeah, that's what I thought you said. Because there's so many of you, is that why all the background chatter? They're talking? Do you have any messages for us? Rathman, I heard that.
It's great. So you mentioned that with the earlier versions of Staticom, you'd get a few responses and then it would kind of fizzle out. And I've noticed that with the spirit box. Why do you think that is?
Because of NDA, I can't answer. I know exactly why it is, but I'm sorry. That's part of the agreement with the other ITC researchers. I can't say.
Okay.
I apologize.
No, it's totally fine. I was genuinely curious and I did not know there was any NDA associated with that. So
Well, there only is in the construction of what we're pushing forward, but
I see. Okay.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll write down what we think it is, and then when you can release it, we'll have you back on and we'll see if we match what you think.
There you go. That
Awesome.
works. That works.
Sounds great.
Okay. And then one question I do have is, could tools like Staticom have broader applications beyond paranormal investigation, such as forensic settings, historical research, or the future of consciousness studies?
All of the above. I mean, one of the things you heard us say in one of the clips was, can we use this for cold cases? And our own friend, literally, if that, now granted, that was in the Philippines, but FBI, police departments will use mediums. Well, how would it not work to ask a question of Staticom and literally get word for word answer? So we've thought of that. There are things like, okay, if spirits are of non-locality and they're answering from anywhere, but yet it's coming in as quickly as it's coming in, something as simple as what kind of new internet speeds can be created? Can they be wireless like Tesla's electricity sent through atmosphere? I mean, this is getting to the Staticom machine somehow and instantly. Then let's talk concerns. Let's talk about religion breaking down or having information that they don't want out there. Let's talk about the breakdown of or the realignment of science. Let's talk about something as simple as a court case where two people are fighting over a house in the will, and you could bring a device like Staticom into a court case, bring up the person who wrote the will and have them go, no, the house was supposed to go to. How does that work? I don't know. I mean, there are so many things that I don't know. I don't have those answers. But information, answers, and people say, well, did you ask who built the pyramids? Did Atlantis exist? What was left out on the information in the Bible about the crucifixion of Christ? I could spend the rest of my life asking questions, but that would detract from me advancing, building, and testing. And so it's a balance. Right.
And then just one more question on that kind of line of thinking is, do you ever fear, because it could be used by the FBI or any other governmental organization, that it could be taken away?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. They could take it away. I could probably build one again in less than 24 hours because literally, I mean, I work with this thing every day. It is ingrained in my mind. But yeah, those fears are there. Who would have it? What would be done with it? Would it be weaponized? Would it be, those fears are there, which brings up the question is the world ready for something like this?
Yeah.
And that I don't have the answer to either. It's one day at a time.
Robin just wants to know
has
a question.
You want me to take it?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Robin Wolf is asking, could you ask them about the 3-eye atlas?
I can ask them anything. What they'll reply is based on two things. They'll give any information that's already happened. They will give no information about the future or future happenings. I can literally be in a position where I'm getting a new job and say, spirits, I have this job or this job. Which one should I take? Crickets. They will not answer. And of course, we've asked for the winning Powerball numbers 1,000 times. We don't get them. Why do we believe that? Well, we believe that because if we are fractal portions of consciousness, universal consciousness, and we are here on the planet with free will, to make our own decisions, some of them correct, some of them incorrect, and to learn from those wrong decision making, to grow, to evolve, and to mature consciousness as a whole. Universal consciousness as one mind, if we're portions of it, would have to grow constantly. Space grows at the speed of light daily. The universe expands. If universal mind, if it's creating everything around us, did not grow proportionally, one of them would become stagnant, fall apart, and dissolve. So if you were to ask a question about 31 Atlas, you'd have to phrase it, has it gone by before? What is it? Is it extraterrestrial? Is it mechanical? Is it looking for information? Is it surveying the, but you could not ask something like, are there aliens on it that are going to land on Earth? And because you're not allowed to know that. And our people always say to us too, things like, what's the veil between the living and the afterlife? It's the human body. Our sight is limited to visual light only. We can't see infrared. We're very detailed on our 3D planet only. Our hearing, only 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. We can't hear ultrasound. We can't hear super high pitches like dog whistles. The body literally limits us from the information that is all around us. Radio waves pass by us by the hundreds or thousands a day. Do we hear it? No. Why? Because we don't have a piece of electronics that can transform those signals into something our human body can interpret. That's exactly what Staticom does. It interprets consciousness or spirit speech and transforms it to our hearing level. But yeah, I mean, the questions can be asked. It just depends. Through the research, we realize we cannot ask for something future. They will not give it.
And that's interesting that they kind of follow that rule. You know, they just kind of, I guess they just know that they're not supposed to give information about the future.
Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I had a hard time hearing what you were saying.
Sorry. It's interesting how they just know that they're not supposed to give away that information.
Yeah, and and maybe they can't. Whether that's universal laws or the just plain fact that maybe they don't know the future. We all have free will for a reason. Yeah. And consciousness, thought, and free will, I think, would have to play a pretty big determining factor in what future becomes and develops as. Mm-hmm. So maybe they can answer that. I don't know, but it's possible.
What do you think that, or have spirits ever tried to teach you something, tried to give you information that was useful in a way? There was the one clip where you asked, I forget how it was worded exactly, but you asked something along the lines of like, how are they communicating? And they responded with, it's just the mind. Do you ever get, do you get a lot of those types of responses where they're trying to teach you like what it is, what the process is in crossing over and what it's like on the other side?
Absolutely. I don't even want to tell you how many terabyte I probably have of things like that. And we have plans for it.
Okay. I was just going to ask.
but absolutely. And, if we're supposed to evolve, grow, raise the whole human consciousness of how we treat each other and what's important in life. And then, they are giving hints and clues as to what that should be. And even people who study UAPs and knowledge of extraterrestrials, that is the one place where they far exceed human beings. We are still fighting wars. We are fighting different religions. We are fighting just the stupidest stuff. And raising the human conscious condition is, I think, an absolute necessity to raising life as we know it.
Mhm.
And hopefully, Tiffany, you have more questions because I only have one left. And that's for the end.
I'm
so.
looking. I'm looking. Let's see here. So do you have a question that you most want Staticom to be able to answer?
Again, there's so many. And, you know, everybody's got, you know, the biggest question that I had starting this so many years ago was, if EVP's been done and people are getting voices from ITC, you know, when we set out and we heard these voices, we, at that time, and this was a long time ago, our objective was to capture the clearest voice, anomalous voice coming from somebody not in front of us, speaking English, speaking our language, and from spirit. But as my friend Rick McCollum always said, and a few years ago, this really hit me hard. But he always used to say, when hunting spirits, I found my own. Well, that got extended for us because it's not about a single ghost making vocals. It is about consciousness, who we truly are, consciousness having a human experience, and what we return to after we're no longer human embodied. It is the true underlying factor of what we are, who we are, and what life is and continues to be. And that that understanding, that research, that change in thought process was probably the biggest eye-opener of anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you ever run into people who might want to use ITC or EVP? I don't want to say in an unhealthy way, but in a way, because due to their level of grief, and kind of like how the spiritualism movement came about at the turn of the century. Everybody was having seances because there
Right.
was just, back in those days, you were just losing so many people, and it was a way for them to feel connected to those they lost. Do you think that with the advancements that we're seeing with ITC and EVP work, do you think there's a possibility of people using it in an unhealthy way? Or do you think it could possibly put people's minds at ease? Like, it's okay. It's going to be okay.
I think every one of those is a possibility,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what their reality is, what they believe reality to be. I know there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that could get some major relief from the loss or the grief felt by the loss of a loved one. You have people that would probably definitely try to use this for the wrong reasons. But because there are what we call universal laws, and we can't be told future, and because I can't hide a thing from the spirits or consciousness or whatever word you want to call it, I can hide nothing from them. They know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what my intentions are. And my wife pointed out to me, I don't know, maybe a year ago, 8 months ago, that if I'm in a bad mood, don't run it, because the effect that has on my ability to get responses is huge. So I'm hoping that if somebody did plan to use it for the wrong reasons, that they would be halted by the answers given, by them knowing that the wrong intentions were being put forth.
Right.
The only person that was ever tested in lab with our original DRV method was Marcello Bacci himself. And they pulled his vacuum tubes out of his radio, because that's what he was using, one by one, to see where the voices would stop and not come through anymore. Guess what? The voices never stopped, even pulling them all. The only thing that could be removed to get the voices to stop was Marcello himself. So there is definitely a connection between the operator and the device. We believe the device is probably 40% of it, and the operator high 50s to 60% of the equation.
And over the years, have you seen your success every time you turn it on? Have you seen that rise in terms of how many voices or how many responses you get?
Oh yeah, if you go to our YouTube channel and go back 4 years, the differences are absolutely off the charts.
Wow.
And since you leave this on in your home, do you ever fear that the spirits are going to rat you out to your wife? Like, oh, he came down in the middle of the night and had an extra bowl of ice cream last night, or
That stuff happens. I mean, literally, if it's already occurred, it is open knowledge. And if she was to ask, yeah, and whatever I did, I mean, I can have it on. I can say, hey, what did I have for lunch last Thursday? They will tell me what I had.
I can't even remember what I had last Thursday.
I
can't remember what I had yesterday. But the point is that information is there and they have access to it. We did online tests when people kept asking, can you run this online? Can we do sessions? We spent about 3 months, because it's multiple different computer systems, all have to be combined. When you do online, you have one camera, one mic. There are multiple input audio sources. So it was tricky, but we got it. And we ran tests with people from across the state to across the country to the other side of the world. And it worked exactly like we were hoping it did, where information could be asked on one side and the answer could come back in.
Wow. I just had a question pop in my head, and it's
Sorry.
it's not there anymore. No, it's okay. I should be writing them down as I think of them. That's what I need to do. And sorry about that 31 Atlas. I was trying to figure it out, what she was, Robin, what you were asking when I was reading it. As Tony answered it, he clarified it for me. My brain is in today.
My nerves are rubbing off on you.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm constantly checking on her this week. How are you? Are you okay?
Jeff, the thoughts of sitting in a dentist chair for 2 hours tomorrow is just not looking that great.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the dentist for anything, let alone major dental work. So I feel for you.
I had to go to my doctor today to get a basically a Xanax, just because last week when I went to the dentist for a checkup before they do the procedure, my blood pressure was 210/145.
Oh.
And he's like, don't come in like that next week or we're not doing it. And I'm like, all right, that just makes it even makes it even worse.
Oh, you're gonna be okay.
I know.
It's gonna be okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, oh, that's a good question, and
I made you lose it again. So yeah, I'll be quiet.
No. I'm still trying to remember it. It's not. It's you're okay.
Sorry, your audio is breaking up again. I'm having a little hard time following what you're saying.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on. I might have to get a new mic this weekend. So
that's better now.
Okay.
You let the spirits.
I think it's either that. I think my internet's being a little wonky tonight too. That might be the issue.
That's what it appears to be, because it's not just one person talking. When like what I just experienced was both of you.
Yeah.
And so it's probably a signal transmission. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there was a big sun flare that came through yesterday too.
Ah,
I think I read that somewhere. So
very
And
possible.
after I do these lives, I go back to work because I work for our cable company. And
yeah.
I'm like, hey, get our internet working better.
Yeah.
Well, while you think, we do have 2 more clips. Did you want me to play one of them?
Absolutely.
Okay. This one starts off with Chip.
All right.
Can you say Tony? Did you just say Rathman? Yep. So you know who I am. Can I know who you are? Yes, sir. Thank you. Who am I speaking to?
Now, with that one, I do have a question. Do you ever go and research these names that come up?
Well, that was actually Staticom. No, it was either Staticom or Staticom 2. I don't remember. But because after a question or two, we'd lose it, I couldn't ask anything further. So I couldn't ask who was president when you passed away or what year. Or so considering the names, Chip Patton, Harold Patter, relatively common. I doubt there's any hidden consonants or in those 2 names.
Mhm.
But not knowing time frame
Yeah.
makes it almost impossible because I have no idea where we're shooting for. If we were able, if this was Staticom 3.0 and we could follow that up with who was president, that would give us an 8-year period. Well, depending on who was president, whether it was for 1 or 2 term, but
Right.
that would have narrowed time frame down to then check. But the funny part about it is that you can almost hear the ageism in their voice when they answer, like they're almost struggling a little bit to talk. And we found that absolutely fascinating. But yeah, had we been able to ask more questions, we could have got more information to do deeper research. And we did look, but looking up Harold Patton and then mashing it against how many death records, that would come back, not feasible or time. So we're always looking for getting enough information to focus that research into something that we can track.
Yeah, because I was curious because we did one investigation in Vegas at a location. Of course, we have an NDA and I can't talk about the location that we did, but we did an EVP session and we actually played it back while we were still there and listened to it before we left, and we got a name. And when we researched that name, it turned out that it was a police officer. There was a news article that we found that was hit in a hit and run, and he was investigating the mob in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then it matched up to all the other information that we had gotten from him the rest of the night. So I love matching names to actually finding who they were in real life.
Yeah, when you can do that, sorry, I got another jet going over. When you can do that, that's absolutely incredible. We have been able to research many things that we've captured. And the accuracy rate is really high. One time we did a test where we took 100 past known history questions and literally sat down. There was a group of us, and we took turns asking different questions. One person had all the answers to them, but the rest of us didn't. We went through, we asked them all, and then verified what responses came through that were correct and which ones were wrong. We were at like 95% out of 100 questions that were correct, which is
So that would be great for cheating on a history test.
be great for a lot of things. Cold cases. I mean, when police or FBI doesn't know where next direction to go, I think we could probably get information to direct them. Yeah.
Wow. If you could have one scientifically verified answer about the afterlife, what would you want it to be?
Tough question. I mean, we've asked everything. Does reincarnation occur? Yes, it does. We asked if we get to choose whether we come back or not. Yes, we do. I would have to, I guess, first figure out, I guess I'd want to know where consciousness starts, meaning how far down does it go? We know it goes to dogs, cats, horses. How far down does it go? Does the mosquito I swat have consciousness? And what are the choices for reincarnation? Are they all here on Earth? Can I be a conscious being in another body, extraterrestrial? Questions like that, I guess, is where I'd want to start, just because we don't have those answers yet, and those questions arose quite a while ago with the answers that we did get. But where's the line? Where's the line drawn, and where does it start? Where does you get into everything from analytic idealism that says that consciousness is the ontological primitive, but then you go to panpsychism that says everything has consciousness.
Right.
Every single theory has its holes in it, but which one's right? I would love to know answers such as that. Where are those lines drawn, and where does it start? Where does it stop? And will we ever find those answers? Don't know. That's one of the other questions, is how far can we push that envelope to allow them to answer? When do we hit those brick walls that we know they're not going to give us any more information? Those are all tests that we continue to push the boundary to see what we can get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any more questions, Heather. I'm out.
Well, I have one to finish with, but one that just popped to mind is this could go either way. Have you ever had a loved one who had passed that reached out to you guys to try to communicate with somebody, or somebody who had a loved one who passed that wants to try to communicate with them?
Yeah, we were just about a month ago, we were at Phenomicon in Utah. We got to run an hour and a half live session for the people that attended. We literally had people question after question, to past loved ones, grandmothers, husbands, children that they lost. Wow. Out of probably 20 people that had questions they wanted answered, 4 or 5 of them literally came off their chair, dropped to their knees, crying because they recognized the voice. The answer that they got answered the question they were looking for. And we literally spent maybe a fifth of the time composing these people that were just absolutely mind blown by the voice, the recognizing of the voice, the answer that they got, and the fact that communication was truly possible.
Mm-hmm. And then that leads me to one more question that popped in my head.
Sure.
Is you have the device at your home, and you said that you leave it on quite often just to see what goes on. Have you ever turned it off at night to have it turn on its own?
No, never had it turn on its own, but only because this is a method, not like a single box with one switch. This is a method of a combination of all sorts of different functions. So, and then of course it's all protected by surge protected outlets. And so, yeah, having it come on its own, we've never had that.
I was going to say, because they're getting crafty, they might figure it out eventually.
Very possible. But that brings up a good point to what you just asked. Mm-hmm. We have not done this yet. But one of the things we want to try is, there's lots of speculation of what happens when you go to sleep. Does consciousness leave the body? If it does leave the body, is that shell left behind that your own consciousness could communicate through Staticom? So doing a test where we leave Staticom on, recording, so that we record it and then go to bed. Does any of that communication coming through Staticom affect what we're dreaming about? If we leave our body, can I hear myself talking through Staticom? What did I say? That's one of the tests that we want to try.
Yeah, that would make a great sleep study test as well.
It would. It absolutely would.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So, before we start wrapping things up, we do have one more clip that we'll play, and you can talk about it. And then I have one last question before we start closing out.
Sounds good.
Marcello, can you see us?
Yes.
Thank you. Marcello, you started this method. It's working. Can you please try to communicate with us?
I love that one.
That's fascinating for two reasons. One, that was the original direct radio voice. That was still using the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in almost a year of research, that was the clearest response we had ever received with direct radio voice. Mm-hmm. Can we prove that's Marcello Bacci? No. Were we able to ask additional questions? No, because that was the very first version we had. But the funny part about it is that, again, back to the vocals. He was an Italian gentleman, spoke Italian, yet the response came through in English. Yet if you listen to it very carefully, you can hear that sort of Italian dialect in the way he's speaking English, which we find absolutely fascinating. And the fact that that was so pronounced, you heard the other answers before, it's sort of soft, yes, Bacci coming. And then boom, I'd say glad to meet you, which answered my wife's question. You know, this is your method or a method you use. Can you communicate? So that was one of the captures that started this whole process, and that was years ago that we got that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, of course, now I'm getting questions popping into my head.
Ask away.
If there was one person who has passed that you could communicate with, who would you love to talk to?
Tesla.
I kind of figured.
Tesla had, you know, and I think this is probably the biggest change in the way science operated back in the 20s, 30s, mm-hmm. is that they weren't afraid to step out of the boundaries. They weren't afraid to push the envelope. Now, I understand the reason for it today. I understand the pressure of peer reviews, of the acceptance of to not breaking that mold. Tesla didn't care about any of that in the 20s and 30s or whenever he started, but they would push every boundary. And so I think he had ideas of how they worked that are literally still upholding today in 2025, and still had a method of transmitting electricity through the atmosphere. No wires needed, no copper being used. And that either got taken away and hidden or went with him. I'm not sure the truth. There's another question for Staticom.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of controversy of what's happened to a lot of his techniques and tools.
Well, exactly. But, you know, he's not the only one. If you look at people who invented car engines that run on water, take a look at what happened to them. It's common occurrence. That's a little too common to be coincidence.
Right, exactly. And so my final question for tonight is going to be, what is one key myth or misunderstanding that people have about spirit communication or even Staticom that you wish to clear up?
Great question. There's things like it takes them, they can only talk for so long. It takes all their energy to, no, it doesn't. They are energy. They don't need to steal it from your 9-volt battery. The other things that really stick out to me is when, I got to remember what your original question was. The myths about, hold on, I got another jet going over. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but in the house, it sounds like the whole house is shaking. But the other myths are that, only through certain people or only through specific methods can they hear you, can they understand you. I can tell you that even if you can't hear them, they can hear you, because it's through your thoughts. They know what you're thinking. They know what message you're giving them. They will be able to receive it, understand it, and know that you're thinking about them or giving them information. Whether you get it back or not, well, that's what we're trying to develop so that people can know that. But the real bottom line message is that regardless of devices like Staticom and others out there, always remember to communicate those messages to everyone you know and love here and now. Because once that transition occurs, will you see them again? Yes, you will, but it could be a while. So tell them that you love them, you care about them, you've missed them when you went a month without seeing them. Tell them now. Don't wait until the other side. That's my last message.
Oh, perfect. This has been amazing. But I do know one other thing that we probably should mention. We talked before the show that you have an event coming up.
I do. We will be in Halifax, Canada, November 1st, giving a live presentation, demonstration of Staticom. If you happen to be in the Halifax area, it is called the Halifax Paranormal Symposium. Go ahead and check it out. And even if you're not in the area, but still, it is going to be an entire Saturday of speakers, everything from spirit communication with Staticom to Ouija boards to energy healing to all sorts of other things. It will be broadcast online. You still have to pay for the broadcast, but it's like a fraction of the portion of an actual ticket to be there in person. And you can find that on a website called ppri.net. And they are the group hosting the event in Halifax. Wonderful bunch of investigators. But if you can, either show up or check it out. It'll be worth your time. And it's just fascinating conversations and discussions.
Yeah. And anything else you want to share before we start closing out?
Just if you're looking for evidence that's been captured, up to a point, it was all placed on YouTube under Staticom. You can just go and look. Nothing new is being posted from evidence or research or development there, because we've had so many people ask, hey, can I pay you to do a session for me? And it's not that we can't. The problems came in with legalities, claiming that you're getting voices from the other side. It can be a legal issue. The exchange of money for spirit voices is an integrity thing, whether you're doing it right or wrong. There's even been talk about some people in past history who have lost the ability to communicate due to trying to gain monetary gain from it. So we avoided that. But what we did decide to offer was we offered a Patreon page where you can come in, you can see behind the scenes events. We will do lives that will allow members to ask questions. of their own and get answers without charging you for it, because the $5 is a charge for the service that we offer each and every month. So, and that's just patreon.com/Staticom / sorry.
We'll put that information in the comments for everybody.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we'll also, I'm working on creating a section on our Facebook page just for all of our guest speakers. So you'll have like a photo album with a whole bunch of different things and ways for people to communicate with you. So that way they can reach out if needed. But definitely has been a great night. Love having you on the show. Looking forward to having you again once you can release more information about some of the other projects that you're working on. So I will definitely be in touch to get you rebooked next year.
Sounds great. And I just want to say thank you to both of you for taking the time. Excellent questions. Appreciate everyone who asked questions from the audience. Great show. Really enjoyed it. And thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
so much. And then real quick for everybody, you guys can always follow us on Ghost Education 101 on Facebook, as well as you can catch the replay and subscribe on YouTube. We have that up, and I know I mentioned this 2 weeks ago and again last week, but we are working on our website. It's ghosteducation101.com. And to stay in the EVP and ITC realm, next week we will be joined with Todd Bates. He's my former producer from when I hosted my other show, and he is currently hosting EVP Explorations, and he's an amazing guy and has some amazing evidence on his own and some unique techniques that he uses. So other than that, I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, thank you, Tiffany, for joining the show as my co-host. It's been amazing the last 3 weeks, and looking forward to many more.
Awesome.
And again, Tony, thank you for joining us. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Good night, guys.